Hello everyone, welcome back to channel again. This is Cloud Institution, the best cloud training institution in Bangalore. So today in this video we're going to see another Azure and Azure VM option. So today we are going to see about create and connect Azure Virtual Machine using SSH using Azure CLI option. Okay, so this option called SSH using Azure CLI in so in Azure VM. Whenever you're creating Azure VM, so you can see that option will be available. So that's for something which you're going to see. Okay, so as you can see here, SSH using Azure CLI, that option will be visible whenever you wanted to connect it. Okay, so now first of all, let's see what is SSH using Azure CLI option. Okay, so let's go back to the option SSH using Azure CLI option. Okay, so what is this one? So it is used to quickly SSH to the virtual machine via browser. Okay, you don't need any kind of a password, username or password or SSH key based authentication method, and you don't need any kind of a key based the SSH keys to be able to connect it. Okay, so this supports some Microsoft Entra ID authentication, and for this method private key is not required. Okay, you don't need any kind of a private key to be able to connect to this instance if you're connecting through the SSH using Azure CLI option. Okay, now let's go back to the demo. Okay, this is my Microsoft Azure portal. So now I wanted to create a new virtual machine. I'm going to click on virtual machine. Okay, so in the past video, in the recent video, if you have not watched the recent video, please go and watch the video. And I've connected the Azure virtual machine using SSH key-based authentication via terminal, right? So now, so in this video, I'm going to create the Azure virtual machine. Okay, so the resource group is going to be I have a cloud resource group. Okay, the virtual machine name is going to be the cloud um, institution uh, cloud institution VM. Okay, I think it is not accepting the hyphen maybe. So the cloud underscore institution VM. Okay, it is not accepting the underscore also. Okay, now I'm going to give cloud institution. Okay, SSH SSH. Okay, so I'm just giving cloud institution SSH. Okay, the cloud the name the region will be South India, and availability zone will be can be anything. I don't need to give. So here, as you can see here, I'm giving that SSH public key based authentication. Okay, the username is going to be Azure user. Okay, if you want to change it, you can just change it. Okay, so this also can be a another interview questions that so the interviewer will ask you that what is the default username for for the virtual machines whenever you're creating with the Azure virtual machine. Okay, this is the default username. So the key pair name is going to be the cloud institution underscore SSH underscore key. This is what it is going to be creating. Okay, but that doesn't matter for me. Okay, I'm going to next. So the default is going to be 30 GB is what I'm just taking, and so the premium SSD everything I'm just leaving it default. Okay, so next networking, I want it to be creating some kind of a default networking for me. I'm not going to touch anything on top of here. Okay, so next monitoring, I don't need any monitoring stuff for here. Okay, so sorry, as the management it is the management stuff. Next monitoring, I don't need any monitoring, and advanced. Okay, so tags, advanced options and custom data, all these things is there. Okay, I don't want anything, so I'm going to review and create option. So it's going to be creating my virtual machine, right? So if you can click on create now, again it will start deploying your virtual machine. So now what I have to do is that I have to download the private key and then create the source, right? So it's going to be creating the private key, the .pem key. Okay, so that will be using that one, then we'll be able to connect it, right? So now if you can, so the deployment is getting started. So within a fraction of seconds you should be able to see the instance will be created. Okay, so as I mentioned with you before, we're going to use the different option for this one. Okay, so I'm going to show you that. Okay, go to resource, the resource has been the SSH the instance has been created. Okay, so agent status is not ready. Okay, troubleshoot the issue. It's just telling it's still not ready. So if you can refresh this page once again, it should be ready in fraction of minute. Okay, now yeah, so it is completely ready, right? So if you want to connect this, right, if you want to connect to virtual machines, there are different options out there. If you click on connect, the Azure will give you as different options through which you should be able to connect it. Okay, so in the last video we have seen how to connect Azure virtual machine using native SSH. Excuse me. So yeah, so now in this video we're going to see that SSH using Azure CLI, right? This is what the option. So there are few or more options out there. We already seen that how to connect it using serial console. Okay, so now we don't need all this option. Let's see how to connect it using SSH using AWS Azure CLI. This is what the option which I was explaining here. Okay, SSH using Azure CLI option. Okay, so now you can see here SSH using Azure CLI option. I'm going to connect it. So for this one, as you can see, so quickly connect in the browser. Support Microsoft Extra ID, Entra ID, authentication and private key is not required. Okay, so now if you click on connect. Okay, so it's just validating whether the port number port 22 is accessible or not. So it's basically it's just used to validate all the different options that will be able to verify whether so we have an option to connect it or not, right? So we can connect it. So configure and connect. If you can, once you click on configure and connect, it will start configure your system and start connecting to the Azure virtual machine. So as I mentioned with you guys, so this particular method will not be used any so any public or private key authentication method, because it's just using Azure CLI. So what is Azure CLI? Azure CLI is nothing but it will automatically open one kind of browser window where you should be able to log in to the particular machine. Okay, as you can see here, it's used to quickly connect SSH into the virtual machine via browser. This supports Microsoft Entra ID authentication. Okay, so it's not SSH key-based authentication. It's not used. So it's just creating that Entra ID authentication. For this method, private key is not required. Okay, so but anyways, we have created a private key, as you can see here. Okay, so it's just still try to connect. Okay, so what I'm doing is I'm trying to connect it. Okay, so it's just requesting for a shell. Okay, as you can see here, my virtual machine is got connected. Okay, I'm giving yes here. Okay, if you can go make it full. Okay, now if you can see this one, if you can give ifconfig. Okay, so ifconfig command is not working because this is the .sh shell. Okay, the sh shell is not bash. Okay, so I'm sure you must have been seeing all these things in the process. Okay, so if you don't know how to proceed and how to perform your commands here, okay, I'm just giving clear. Okay, so then it's going down. Now what I have to do is that we have to give /bin and /bash. So what I'm telling is that, hey, please go to the bin bash terminal. So I don't want the bin sh terminal. Okay, so bin bash. So here you can see I just logged into my virtual machine. So now you can see here, I can go to sudo also. I can go to the root from here. If you can go to /home, and you can see, so the two users has been created. So one is Azure user, another one is the user based on my Azure account, right? So what is the purpose of this is creating like this? Okay, so this is the user. By default will be creating whenever the system is created. Okay, so this is the default Azure user, but this one user is kind of a Entra ID authentication. So Entra ID has been created, one more user for the Entra ID to be able to connect it, as I mentioned with you here. Okay, this supports Microsoft Entra ID authentication. Okay, this is what it is. Okay, now hope you understand this concept, right? So this is how you should be accessing this particular virtual machine. Now you can see, and you can just go and create any kind of a files and folders, mkdir. Okay, so cloud institution. Okay, give ls. You can create the the files and folders like this one here. Okay, so this is another way of connecting to the Azure virtual machines. Okay, so hope this video was really helpful for you to check how to connect to your virtual machines through the SSH CLI, Azure CLI. So this is what it is. Okay, so thank you so much for watching this video. If you like this video, please like, comment, share, subscribe. Okay, if you have any inquiries, please reach out to us on this number. Okay, Thank you again and see you in the next video.